Hi everyone, it's almost 3 o'clock, so welcome to the Realtor Only call. Today we have the wonderful Dayton Schrader. He's going to be talking about planning for 2023. Throughout the call, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat box and he can answer them. He'll also stop periodically to answer a few questions. We want this to be really interactive, so feel free to unmute yourselves and ask questions throughout. But without further ado, take it away, Dayton.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join us. This month, I am the coach of the month. That used to be a really big deal. I thought it was kind of special. Oh, wow. And you know, maybe we've done something great. As it turns out, that's assigned a year in advance, and it's rotated among the 45 plus coaches. So every once in a while, it's my turn in the barrel. It's always difficult when it's your coach of the month and you didn't have a great month. So, but that's part of this program, is being transparent. As an organization, we're built to close about 40 a month. We've been averaging 33, 34 a month or so. We're going to finish the year with right at 400 sides. I don't think we're going to get to 400. We're going to be 392, 395, somewhere in that range, depending on what closes. So we're feeling it like everybody else. But as Rick said, it's not a bad market. It's the market. It's the market that we're in. And now I'm wrapping up my 40th year in the business. So I've been through cycles like this before. I've been through some great runs and it's been a blast. And then everybody got to get squared away and dust off your closing skills and your marketing skills and your negotiating skills and all that sort of thing. And I think that's where we're headed right now. Is there's going to be a little bit of a cleansing in the industry. The mortgage guys are feeling it really bad right now. They've laid off 25 to 50% of their staff. And so from the where they were a year ago, and real estate people won't be too far behind if we don't get our act together and make sure we've got everything trued up the way it should be. So part of this deal is making sure that you are protected in your role, whether you're one of our coaching students or you're one of the on their staff and you're in the conference room or something like that. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Part of what you're signing up for is to get some help from people who have seen this movie before and know how it ends, and to keep you from making all the mistakes that we've made along the way. So that's part of the value proposition of the core. We've all been at it for a long time. We've had our ups and downs. We still struggle with certain aspects of our business. So nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's perfect. We just keep working on getting better and better every day. And then we fall back and then we keep working on getting better and better. That's just part of the deal. If that's not what you want to do, this is probably not the program for you. But if it is, hang in there, put in the effort. It takes time to build a practice. It takes time to build a database. It takes time to cultivate relationships with VIPs. But if you don't do it, it's never going to happen. So you got to be super intentional about it every day. So let's talk about 2023. I don't dare take everybody off of mute because somebody will be taking field and phone calls and doing other stuff. But I'll try to pick on somebody. We'll do it in the chat box. But basically, the first question is, if you're getting ready to go on a journey, and that's essentially what we're doing. We're going to go on a journey next year in 2023. What's the first thing you have to know?
You got to know where you want to go.
Well, that's the second thing you need to know. What's the first thing you need to know?
Someone said numbers in the chat box. I don't want to steal their glory.
No, and I appreciate. No, that's good. Where you are now. Who said that? William, congratulations, our first winner. So yeah, absolutely. You got to know where you are now. Then you want to decide, where do you want to go, and is that realistic? You're not going to double your business next year. Don't set that goal. You're just planning to fail. But if you say, I'm going to grow by 10% or 20%, or I'm just going to hang in there in next year because the market's not going to be as strong as it has been, that's okay. If you can stay even in 23 over what you did in 22 or 21, you're winning. I guarantee you, against the field. But you got to know, first of all, where are we now? And where are we now is, what does my team look like? How many transactions did we close? How many families did we serve? What was our net and our gross, our profitability? What does our P&L look like? The level 3 students have a little bit of advantage on that, but as level 1, level 2, you've been introduced to our vocabulary. You know a little bit about what we're doing. There's an abundance of help and other coaches that are available to do extra calls for our level 1 and level 2 students to take advantage of all that knowledge and understand a little bit more about the forms, and then push yourself to get better at it. So one of the things we're going to talk about is a 1-year business plan. And I have sent all of that to the core We're going to talk about a 1-year business plan. We're going to talk about how you feed your mind with things that you need to do to get better and bring more value to your organization, to yourself, or compel your team to bring more value. Show them how they're going to be more valuable to you. We're going to talk about how to be an A player. Josh Sigmund did a phenomenal presentation on that at the Mega a year or two ago. I wrote notes as fast as I possibly could, then typed them up. And so I've got that, and that's something you need to share with everybody on your team, and share it with your trades, share it with your referral partners. There's a lot of this is applicable universally. It's not just real estate specific or lender specific. It's out there for anybody, any organization that you're affiliated with, anybody that you want to bring value to. All these tools are very useful. And then the last one is making sure you've identified what we call, it's called homework, and it's a form.
You got muted.
Wow, they cut me off just like that. That's the way it goes. Sometimes you get the hook and it's the end of it. So, but I think I'm back for a minute. So the last part of this deal, the fourth document that I sent into the core, is a homework for a team planning session. And it's what my people have to turn into me before we do our planning session for the first quarter of 2023. And it is, what are your major responsibilities? What are your metrics? And the story I tell around that is, if you've got elementary school kids and they came back from school the first day and you said, you like your teacher? Oh my God, she's incredible. She's amazing. Excellent. How are you going to be graded this semester? Do you know? And they'll say, I don't know. Well, is it going to be, 2 exams and 5 pop quizzes, drop the low score, and 2 papers? Well, I don't know. Well, about the 3rd or 4th time they said, I don't know, you'd go storming up to the teacher in the school and say, how are you judging my kid? How are you evaluating my kid? And if they looked at you and said, I don't know, we'll just kind of see how it goes, that's really not a good answer. But that's how a lot of us run our teams. They don't know whether they've done well. They don't know what a victory looks like. They don't know what a win looks like. We haven't explained that to them. We haven't shared the vision with them about what we're trying to build, the role that we expect them to play on that, in that growth process, and then figuring out how do they want to, where do they want to go in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, and can you help them get there? Because you've taken on a tremendous amount of responsibility. If you've got somebody on your payroll, it's not just trading dollars for hours. There's more to it than that. And you're going to get burned every once in a while, but you're going to win more than you lose if you do this really, really well. So making sure we have a clear, firm grasp on what our business looks like, where did it come from this year, looking back at your pay logs and being able to track where all your deals came from. Were they database? Were they VIPs? Were they Zillow spend? What would that look like? And can you defend each one of those and the work that you're doing around that? And then what do you want to do next year? And how are you going to do it? Now, for years and years, I could spreadsheet myself to death. Well, if I get 3 more deals out of this and 5 more deals over here and 1 more a month over here, and all of a sudden I've got this pie in the sky number that's not realistic. And so I've learned over the years to kind of temper that back down a little bit and make a really realistic plan based on the circumstances that are out there right now. It's been so great. We've had a hell of a run, and we've been shooting fish in a barrel for a very long time. And now we got to go back to work. It's a different ball game. It's a perfectly fine game. The world's still turning. There's still people getting married, having babies, getting divorced, getting promoted, inbound relo, outbound relo, people passing away, empty nesters, all the things that happen in a lifetime that make you want to buy or sell a house. There's about 7 or 8 of those things that I just reeled off. That's what makes people want to buy or sell. That's not a seasonal thing. That's not a school year thing. That's a year-round thing. And so if you're positioned to work with people and referral partners that continue business year-round, you're going to level your practice out a little bit. In San Antonio, and I've been here all my life, in San Antonio, we were kind of a one-trick pony. It was either military, which was great, and everybody got their orders in the spring and all the signs went up. And if you didn't get it done by Labor Day, you were out of luck. And then tourism. And of course, the tourists didn't buy any houses, but they certainly helped our economy. Well, now we've got the most diverse, most robust economy we've ever had. We're hitting on all cylinders right now. So there's lots of things going on in our town. I know not everybody is enjoying the kind of market that we have here, the job growth, the in-migration and things like that. So I'm aware of that. And so everybody's got to play the game that they're playing. You can't compete. Don't try to be me or Ben Wilson or Phil Puma, you go play your game and be you and build your practice the way you want it to build. We'll help you get there, but you got to just figure out what it is you want, how you want to build it. So we got to decide, what does 2023 look like, and where are those transactions going to come from? And so you can work on a flow chart. You can just break it down from your lead tracker and say, well, last year I got 5 CCRs, I closed 2. That's not very good. This year I want to get at least 1 CCR a month, and I want to close 4 or something like that. Pick very specific numbers that you want. PCs, previous client referrals, and personal friends, that's your database. What do you expect to get out of that? What did you get out of it in the past year? And if you've got some real historical data, you can go back 2 or 3 or 5 years. Much beyond that doesn't really matter. But in the last 2 or 3 years, you can look back at that and kind of get an idea of how consistent your marketing is, how consistent your letter of the heart is, your evidence of success. Are you having client events? Are you back to happy hours? Are you really working that program the way it should be worked? And if you are, you should be generating 2 to 5 to 6 transactions a month just out of your database, out of repeat and referral clients. If you're not getting that, you're missing something. So it's not a great call to action. You're not consistent on your mailings. You don't have a big enough database. You're only mailing to 100 people instead of 400 people. Something's missing. And you should be able to, with your coach, figure that out so that you get where you need to be. The pro forma is 400 names in the database that are locals with a snail mail address, a letter of the heart every month, and evidence of success every month with a compelling call to action. And there's plenty of content that you can use at the core that we've got. Here's the formula, here's the template for what that looks like. And it's not a 600-page dossier. It is about 2 or 3 paragraphs, because most people have the attention span of a 3-year-old when they're reading that. And so they're standing over the trash can, reading your letter, saying, oh yeah, that's nice. And off it goes. But for that one split second, you connected with them. Maybe you connected with the evidence of success on their business oriented, or maybe you connected with them on a letter of the heart. They're a little bit more people oriented. Either way, you've got that connection and that reminder. And so if you're consistent with that for over a period of time, you'll start to get stuff out of your database. Now, people always ask, how do I get more listings? Well, you can chase FSBOs and expireds, which I wouldn't wish on anybody, or you go sell houses for about 10 or 15 years and they'll start calling you back. And that's what most people have to do, is put a lot of buyers in houses and pay their dues. And then 5 years later, 8 years later, they call you up and say, you don't remember us, but we got 2 new kids, we got this, we got a promotion, whatever. We had a great experience with you. And you're trying to remember exactly who they were. And so, but that takes time to build that up. But what are you going to get out of your database? What are you going to get if you're in a certain brands? We used to get when I was with Remax for a long time, we could count on getting a dozen referrals a year just through the Remax network, whether it was the designations, a CRS or CRB or CCIM or whatever that was, or just through the network. There's some great brands out there. Coldwell Banker does a great job with referrals. Keller Williams does a great job with referrals. There's several other brands where you can count on, if you really position yourself well and spend a little bit of time on that, making sure you're in the directory, making sure you look good on LinkedIn, making sure that your cohorts can find you from all over the country. You can generate some referrals. You don't have to spend a lot of money on that. If you join ERC or some other stuff, that costs money, but you can do a lot of it on the fly, on the cheap, but make sure that everybody can find you where you want to be found, and that you look like somebody they want to send their business to, and that they can count on to get a referral check back. So if that's a part of if it's not a part of your practice, don't worry about it. Go to the next one, which is business. What are you doing with your business people and your VIPs? Are you generating any referrals from that constituency? And what's the plan? Do you have a birthday list? Do you have a great VIP list? The pro forma is 50 great past clients that are locals that you'd love to have dinner with them. They are welcome at your house. You'd enjoy going to their house. You connected with them. You share values with them, and you're having a grown-up conversation with them about being a referral partner and establishing yourself as a great subcontractor for them. For most people, are about 20 people away from doubling their business. And I would submit to you that you probably already know 10 of those 20 people. You just haven't had that conversation with them. You haven't pursued it the correct way. You haven't worked on your gifting program. You haven't built that VIP list. you haven't been intentional about your calls on Monday, and so on. If you do those things, it will bear fruit, and it will bear fruit faster than just about anything else you can do, short of something lucking into an open house or something like that, somebody walking in the door, because your database takes a while to curate. It takes a while for somebody to decide that they want to work with you instead of the 10 other realtors that they know, including 2 family members. I mean, it takes a while to get your database rolling. But the VIPs, if they say, you know what, that's a great idea, I'd love to have you on my Rolodex, you're my go-to person, and you have that conversation with them, understand what it is they're looking for, the role that they want you to play, what your expectations are. If you have that conversation at a really good level, really deep level, you can generate a great deal of business out of that. Early in the year, Kendra, my boss and coach, challenged me to figure out, where did my business come from in 22 when I did. And what I found out was I had 112 people sent me 350 transactions that closed in 2022. So that was fantastic. I was thrilled with that number. The bad news was that in the 3 years prior to that, over 200 people had sent me a deal that closed. So there's this huge gap. I lost 80 people somehow, some way. They either transferred their affections, we chainsawed the deal, and they'll never work with us again. They got out of the business, but I got to find out what happened to those. I got to play in the sandbox with 112 that we've been very successful with most recently, and we're fresh on their minds. But then I always go back and account for those other 80, because if I can get some more business out of those other 80, I'm off to the races. If I can squeeze, I got 3 deals per person out of the 112. If I can get 3.5 or 4, I don't need to meet anybody. I don't have to talk to strangers anymore. I can just really squeeze more out of those referral partners if we do it correctly. So we're super intentional about following up with them, loving on them, making sure we've collected all about you forms on them, gifting them, happy hours. I just had a Santa party at my house for probably almost the 25th year, and we had over 250 people through the door for milk and cookies with Santa Claus. We're doing referral partner events for the ladies and for the gentlemen. Ladies, we had a bunch of people at a Kendra Scott event the other night, and the gentlemen, next Tuesday, we're doing a cigar smoker. And I don't even smoke, but I know these guys do, and they're going to come hang out, and we're going to have dinner and drinks and hang out and just have a guys' night. So I'm in a position where I can do some of that stuff that other people can't do. But even if you do it at a much less expensive level, you can still do it. And connecting with somebody at your home is biblical. I mean, you get somebody into your house to break bread. That's a super special thing. This morning, we hosted a leadership thing for our builders association. So I had 20 people, including the guy that built my house and the guy that sold him the lumber, who are friends of mine, in there with 18 other leaders from our builders association, including the executive director. So they came in, we had a great catered breakfast at my house, talked about leadership, talked about John Maxwell books, went around the horn. Everybody got to visit and talk about their leadership style and what they learned from the Maxwell book and everything. It was really a fun deal and a great chance to connect. And I automatically have 2 or 3 people saying to me, hey, we need to talk first week of January, second week of January, let's get back together. Or before the holidays, let's get back together and plan out 23. So I can take advantage of that. I'm gonna circle back around and follow up with every one of those people and get in front of them and see what we need to do to help them build their business, help them shore that up and make sure they're set up for a good year. And if I pour into them, then they'll turn around and bless me. So what are you doing with your business people? How intentional are you about cultivating that VIP list, getting those all about you forms, getting in front of those people? This whale campaign that we started is going to be a game changer for a lot of people if you do the work. If you don't, it's just like the Peloton sitting in the corner. But if you do the work, it's going to pay, and it's going to pay off fast and really, really well. I promise you that. Next on the list is your ads. What is your ad spend? Whether it's Zillow, Realtor.com, I can tell you that we don't spend a dime on any of that. Of the last year, 2022, I think we closed almost 500 transactions. 88% of that was referred to us by somebody. I work on my database and I work on my referral partners. We don't spend any money on Zillow. I can't stand those guys. They're trying to put us out of business. Don't spend any money on Realtor.com. They sold us out years ago. And so I want to build a referral-based business, a by referral only business. I'm not interested in talking to strangers. I want to deal with people that I can take care of and to take care of me and trust me and will follow my rules. I learned this from probably from Sigmund as well. And basically, A customers are play by your set of rules, are referred with value, and they're ready to do something now. A B customer is missing one of those elements. They either weren't referred with value, sign call, internet hit, open house, something like that, not referred with value. You're just a commodity. You're just a door opener, and they don't really need you. And there's a lot of companies that are trying to fish upstream and cut you out of those transactions. And the builders don't want to pay necessarily. So not referred with value. People that don't want to do anything right now. Yeah, my lease didn't expire till next July, but I want to go look at houses this weekend. That's no fun. And the one that won't play by your set of rules. They won't kennel the dog. They won't take the stager's advice. They won't price the house correctly. They won't return your phone calls when you're calling them all week to set appointments on Saturday to show them houses. They won't get pre-qualified by the lender that you push them to. They're not playing by your set of rules. You can live with B clients for a while, but it's always going to hold you back. And the problem with most of us is if you don't have enough A clients, you work with B clients, and that's okay. But if you don't have enough B clients, you work with C clients. And that's why most people only last a couple of years in this business. Most agents only sell 5 or 6 houses a year. They don't have enough A clients. But A clients don't just fall off the tree. You got to go cultivate those relationships and make sure that you're getting referred correctly. Make sure that you're vetting them correctly, asking qualifying questions and things like that. Sharpening our sales skills, sharpening our closing skills, sharpening our listening skills, and so on to build our business. So when you look at each one of those pillars of your business off of your lead tracker, and that's the best way to go, what are you going to do different or better in each one of those categories? Or what are you going to abandon? What do you say, you know what, we tried that, but that Zillow contract is up in 60 days, and I'm not going to spend another dime with those yahoos. I'm going a different direction. I'm going to pour that money into something else, repurpose it. I'm just going to put that money in my pocket and concentrate on a better constituency, a VIP constituency or something like that. And so, but you got to make those decisions. If you can collaborate with people on your team, if you can collaborate with a lender or somebody that's not quite as emotionally invested as you are in your own practice, they can be a little bit more objective about it. That's really good. Talk to your coach, talk to your cohorts on your call. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge, and I think we help each other out. We don't do as much as we could, but we certainly help each other out. And there's abundant resources available to you. So please don't miss that opportunity to take advantage of that. So what is your business going to look like in 2023? The 1-year business plan kind of outlines this. It talks about and it gets into the fun stuff too, the vacations you want to go on, the material goods that you want, if you're going to treat yourself for something. I'm still laying in the weeds waiting for the Aston Martin DB9 that I want. And so they're coming down. One day I'm going to have a little Sunday car. I'll drive it for about a year, and then I'll turn around and sell it and get it out of my system. But I'm just waiting for that opportunity. The other thing I'm waiting on is the 2021 Mercedes S580 or a 580S, whatever it is. Anyway, that is just a gorgeous car. Can't wait. I'm not paying $125,000 for one though. I'm going to wait till they get down into the 70s when the 22s and 23s flood the market. Then I think those prices will come down, and I'm going to snap one up. And so, but those are my material things and experiences. We're headed to London this year for Christmas. My daughter landed a job in London in September. And so we're going to go over there for Christmas and do Christmas and New Year's in London. I've never been. I'm super excited about that. So we're picking out sightseeing and restaurants and shopping and museums and all that sort of thing. So those are on my list for the things that I want to do this year. And then we're looking at some other stuff too, some fun stuff to travel a little bit and so on and so on. But that's about a 2-page program or 2-page outline of really good prompts about what do you want to do, experiences you want to have, material things you want to have, and then what kind of business do you want to have next year? What do you want? Can you get your average ticket up from $8,000 to $10,000? You don't have to do a whole lot more business if you can grow your business with a higher price point. That's going to come with hanging out with wealthier people. That's going to come with better referral partners. If you're hanging out with first-time home buyers, it's going to be a lower price point. That's just the nature of the business. But as people get older, they can afford a nicer house. I tell you, it took me probably 25 years before I ever sold a house over $1 million. And now I sell about 1 or 2 a year. That's just not our market in San Antonio. but our price has gone from when I started, they were about $60,000. Now it's 350 to 400. San Antonio is about 250, 275. We traded a little bit of a premium to that. So we're making $8,000 to $10,000 a deal now. And so you don't have to do that much business at $10,000 a pop to live a great life. I mean, really and truly, it's incredible, the opportunities that are available to you in this industry. And so what is your 23 going to look like? Here's the plan. Here's the rubric. Here's the outline for laying that all out. And then how are you going to help yourself and your team with the books that you read, the way you feed your mind? In our leadership class this morning, we talked about when you're an adult, it's who you hang out with. You're going to make the average of the 3 people that you hang out with, and how you feed your mind, the books you read, podcast, whatever it is you listen to, or whatever you subscribe to. That's going to be a game changer for a lot of it. I'm a big Patrick Lencioni guy. I love The Go Giver. I love Principles. I love Influence. Those are some phenomenal books. And what I said to the core was kind of what I call a required reading list. Raving Fans is one of those books. Picking those out, reading them with your team. A good one for this new year is going to be Who Moved My Cheese. That is a quick reminder of, hey, things are going to change. And so if everybody on your team reads that and then talks about it, then you can have a more collaborative environment and a little bit better understanding of one another. Making sure you know what your team's DISC profiles are. Manesh does a great job on that for helping us out. Workplace Motivator, emotional intelligence test that he offers, really, really special, helps us scrub candidates and make sure we're getting the right people on our team. Working on our values from Traction is another great exercise. So any of those books work if you apply them. And most of them are outlined on that list. We can help you out with each and every one of them and the nuggets that you might glean from that. So spend some time, figure out which ones you want to read. Pick a book a month or a book a quarter and get in that habit. It's amazing what you can learn from this stuff, and the intellect and the wisdom, and whether it's Jack Welch or anybody else for that matter. It's just great time spent, I believe. And then I think the let's see, 1-year plan homework list and the A players. So I touched on the big 4 forms that are available to you through the core. And now I've got some people popping up, and I'm going to see if I can answer some questions, maybe open this up for Q&A. You can ask me a specific question, or you can ask for a friend if it's something that you're not real comfortable with. But you can put it in the box or we'll unmute if we dare, and see what we can do to help you guys out and make sure that you're really teed up for a great year next year. So database 400, absolutely. That's our pro forma. People that have 1,000-person databases, it's really hard to be in a relationship with 1,000 people. You just can't keep up with them. You're not going to be able to call them every week. You're not going to be able to stick to your theme days and things like that. So making sure you've got that greatness tracker filled out every week is huge, but it comes off of that database, those VIPs, your current clients on Tuesday, and so on. Rufy, thank you for the kind words. Let's see, the items I mentioned, yes, are available to you at the core through your concierge, Bailey, or one of the other concierge will have all 4 of those forms. I just emailed those in. I do have a geographic farm. The question from Sarah. I live in a very nice country club community. There's about 1,400 rooftops. There's about 13 subsets of the neighborhood. So we've got garden homes, townhomes, all the way up to estate houses. Probably nothing under 300 anymore in that neighborhood, probably nothing under 400 right now. And then up to 7 figures. And so I farm the daylights out of that neighborhood. I've lived there for 20 years. I'm in my 3rd house. I've built 2 houses in that neighborhood. And so I put a lot of clients in and out of there. I've sold a couple of really spectacular houses in there in the last few lots in that neighborhood. So I'm credible. I live inside the gate. I'm a golf member of the club. So I can compete in that space. And one of the things I love from Jack Welch was, if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete. But the flip side of that was, where you do have a competitive advantage, you got to go all in. I have a competitive advantage in my country club over other agents that don't live in the club. Now there's some really good credible agents that do live there, have lived there for a long time. I'm not going to beat them out every time. I feel like I can do better than them, but they might be in a better relationship. And so that's going to happen. But I shouldn't lose to anybody that's not a member of the club, that doesn't know the secret handshake. The same thing with Aggies, the same thing with UTSA, the same thing with builders, the same thing with financial planners. I've got a competitive advantage because I've really worked hard on those constituencies for a long time. So farming takes time to pay off. You got to get your database right first. You got to get your VIPs right first. Work on your whale campaign. The builders, geographic farms, other things like that, you do those later. Once you've got some real momentum, you've really got some bandwidth, and you're looking to grow your business. When you can have a great business that's just database and VIPs and not have to fiddle with any of the rest of that stuff, and be very profitable. Some of my best coaching students don't touch a farm. They just work really hard on the database and the VIPs and do really well. They got a great price point. They sell 2 or 3 houses a month and are making a lot of money, and way more than they'd make in any other industry or field. So let's see. Does it make, one big tip or idea landing some whales. So you got to ask your VIPs. That's a great question. And you got to ask your VIPs who their VIPs are. And the conversation goes like this. Hey, I really admire and respect you and the business that you built or the life that you built. I want to get to know you better. And my coach challenged me to meet some of the most influential people that I could, and you're on the top of that list. And so I wanted to visit with you. Tell me your story. How'd you get in the widget business? That sort of thing. You give them honor and so on. And then ask them, yeah, I'm truly trying. I'm looking for work. I really am looking for work. Who else should I be talking to? Help me build out my network. I'd be so grateful. Or you can go to them with a list and say, hey, these guys are also in your field. Do you know any of them? They say, oh yeah, I went to school with her. She's amazing. He's an idiot. This guy's really nice. We're buddies. Say, hey, would you mind? And you'll start getting warm introductions. You shouldn't have to cold call too many people. You start with the VIPs, the rock stars in your database that are already on your phone, and go through and think, you know what, that guy owns a business. This person's in head of HR. That's an attorney. That's a CPA. That's a financial planner. That's cash, property and casualty agents, things like that have other customers. You've got a great service and value to offer to them. Being on their Rolodex, they've got what you want, and that's you're their endorsement and access to their constituency, which is huge. But you got to be intentional about that, hitting it really hard every day. The question was, how often am I getting with my VIPs? We do events constantly. So we're doing happy hours every month. We'll do VIP events. Like I said, the happy hour, the Santa party. We did a movie, or one of the Avenger movies earlier this year. We're already planning first quarter event. One of the first coaches we had in the core years and years ago was a lender, and I want to say in Northern Virginia. And he had a promotion that if you send him a referral in the first quarter of the year, in April, they would have a really nice dinner. They would put chartered buses in front of his office. Everybody get all dressed up, put them on the bus, take them to downtown. I want to say it was downtown DC, but I'm not sure where it was. And they'd have just a blowout dinner and just a thank you for referrals. But it was only for people that sent him a referral in the first quarter of the year. And that kind of helped prime the pump for his mortgage practice. I think it's a great idea. That's something we're going to adapt going into 23. We're going to have an event. A couple of years ago, I did a Conor McGregor fight and a poker night, and it wasn't cheap, but it was very impactful, and we had a great time. So we may do something like that if we can find a good fight night or a poker night, something like that in April. We might do something along those lines, or we'll come up with something else. So, but I want to get I would call them on Monday, just like I'm supposed to. Follow up on Thursday, or pardon me, on Friday, to get new referrals and introductions if we can, and then do the client events and circle back around and make sure that if they ask you to do something, make sure that it gets done, whether it's a market analysis, tax protest, they need a trade, whatever. That's your opportunity to shine and follow up with them. Make sure you're taking really good care of them. Make sure they know you're their go-to resource for anything real estate related. Position yourself as such. And so you're going to get some business out of them. How often do you send the database? I think we talked about that. A letter of the heart every month, an evidence of success every month. I've got some people that are toggling back and forth, one month, one the other. That's okay. That's not great. And sometimes you got to live with okay. But ultimately, you want to do a lot of the heart every month and an EOS every month. You guys have plenty of great stories to tell. You just got to sit down and do it. And there's lots of prompts available to you through the core. You can hijack some of that information, make it yours. How the first time home buyer didn't think they could afford a house, or somebody that really needed the house before the baby was born. It's got to be a compelling story, and it's got to be how you came to the rescue, your expertise, your experience, your advocacy, your product knowledge, your network of associates that were able to solve this problem. And you expand on the problem, and then how you solved it, and then you have a great call to action. Hey, anybody else you know doing this, I'd love to help them out. We'll apply the same levels, whatever that is. And so there's got to be a good, compelling call to action. People read captions, they read headlines, and they read postscripts, PSs. So if you do that really well, you'll and if you're not getting calls out of your database, you're not doing a good job on that. It's pure and simple. So work on that with your coach, get better at that, and it'll pay off for you. Ratio of builders to whales. I've done really well with builders for a very long time. They are slowing down dramatically. So Rick fussed at me quite a bit, and I didn't pivot as fast. I'm pivoting now, but I didn't pivot as fast as I should to other stuff. But we were so busy selling 40 or 50 houses a month that I didn't have to pivot to anything. Now that's slowed down. Obviously, I got to replace that. I don't want to go from a 40 deal a month shop to a 25 deal a month shop. We're built for 40, and I don't want to lay people off. I want to keep producing at a high level. So I've got to get that business from somewhere else. The builders it's just not available to me through the builders. So I think there's an opportunity there, but I would concentrate on your VIPs, your non-industry referral partners first, and then if the thing with builders is if you go get them, you got to deliver at a very high level. All they care about is close on time, no excuses. They don't want to hear any whining. They don't want to hear the deal didn't bust out. They don't hear people didn't cooperate. And if you can't do that, then I would not pursue builders at all, because their expectations are very high, and they're feckless. And I don't have a contract with any of them. We're only as good as our last deal with every single builder. We've got some great relationships that we've maintained for a long time, but any one of those could go away tomorrow. And in the past, that's happened to me before. I've lost them. New boyfriend, new girlfriend, new division president, new sales manager, and all of a sudden we were out. And 2 or 3 or 5 years later, we finally worked our way back in. But it happens all the time. So whales first, then builders. And if you can get 25 whales to send you 2 or 3 deals a year, for most people, that's an insane amount of business. That's a $500 to $1 million a year revenue stream, and you ought to net 50% of that in a small shop. That's a boatload of money. You don't find too many people that make more than $500,000 in any industry anywhere. So that makes you a 1%er real quick. A kickback scenario. Oh, that's a great question. So, and the answer is there might be somebody that would try that, and the answer, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm terribly sorry. If that's a condition of doing business with you, I certainly understand that. I'm not your guy. I'm not blowing money back out under the table. I'm not buying your girlfriend a purse. We're not playing that game. So if that's the deal, I wish you well. Have a great life. See you bye. Not interested at all in doing that. So that's just a hard no. We pay referral fees to realtors. We'll pay referral fees if it's appropriate and legal, but otherwise we're not doing it. I'm not getting caught in that deal. And we've got some competitors in San Antonio that do a lot of that, and they're not welcome at several builders because they found out what's going on under the table and blowing money back and things like that. So I don't want any part of that. That's all I've got is my reputation, and I'm not going to damage that at this point in my career. Having to call your VIPs. The pro forma from the core is to have a 50-person VIP list and talk to them once a month. If you call them 2 or 3 months in a row and they're not calling you back, then they don't want to play the game with you. You keep them on your database, but you got to find somebody else to replace them as a VIP. You're looking for people that will take your call or call you back, and you're calling 10 to 12 of them every Monday. So in the course of a month, you've talked to every one of them. So you got your VIP list. You check them off as you talk to them. You make your phone calls until you get your 10 talk tos, put that list away, get it back out next Monday, keep going down the list until you've gone around the horn. and talk to every one of them. If, like I said, if they're not willing to play the game with you, you're going to find out pretty quick. You cut them loose and go get somebody else and continue to top grade. That's the best way to do that. And yes, it's a RESPA violation among a million other violations. So yeah, we don't blow any money back under the table. The question about what I'm doing for my VIPs. Well, besides being a resource for them, I want to be their go-to real estate guy for anything they need, whether it's a trade, a vendor, if I can help them protest their taxes, if they want to know valuation for an estate. I've done expert testimony before for attorneys and builders. I've done market analysis for them when they wanted to know back in the market crash, they wanted to know how many short sales there were in the neighborhood because they were trying to get money from the mothership to develop 200 lots. And there are a lot of short sales in that part of town. They weren't going to give them the money to build new houses. And so we did all that. We handle closeouts, orphan specs, anything the builders need. And then with the VIPs, I just want to make sure that I'm their go-to guy for anything real estate related. And then depending on what their love language is and their availability or accessibility, they want to hang out, play golf. I love to shoot skeet. I'm a big reader. I give away a lot of books. I've taken advantage, not fully, but the stuff that I've learned from the core 22 years of coaching with Rick and Kendra and Rita, and it's been phenomenal what I've learned about this industry from the lender coaches and the realtor coaches and my cohorts and my students for that matter. It's been phenomenal. Turn around and give that back out to your referral partners. I mean, you get an incredible amount of knowledge in this industry. You learn the best and worst in people. This business, the restaurant business, and the car business. You get so much exposure to other people, so many ups and so many opportunities to see greed and selfish and not nice. And I can't believe you speak to each other that way in public, to unbelievably gracious and kind and generous and everything in between. And so it's an unbelievable test tube of consumer behavior and client interaction and things like that. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. If you can't do gifts or referrals, well, if a condition of doing business with them is referrals, reciprocity, hey, you give me a deal, I'll give you a deal, that may or may not be a good fit. I've learned the hard way to not overpromise, and I've done that before. Say, oh yeah, absolutely, I'll send you business, and then 6 months later, it's, oh shoot, man, I owe you a deal, and nothing ever happened. So I've learned to say, if that's a condition of doing business with you, I certainly respect that. I'm really sorry. That's not the role I'm looking to play. It wouldn't hurt my feelings or wouldn't hurt their feelings if I brought you a deal, but I don't want to make that a condition. If it is, I'm gonna bow out. Thank you so much. Next. And it didn't knock me off for a week. Too many people wallow in a no for way too long. And you say, okay, that's fine. That we're moving on. That was just feedback. Wasn't failure. It was just feedback. I'm gonna go find somebody else that wants to do it my way. And so gifts, depending on, and they can't be extravagant. Probably the nicest thing we might give is a decent bottle of wine if I know they're really wine drinkers. But books anywhere from $15 to $25. You can do the cheesy gifts with like a autograph of baseball. We're going to knock it out of the park this year. There's a million cheesy gifts out there. But if it's personal, if it's based on their All About You form, or you stalk them on Facebook, or you stalk them on LinkedIn, and you got a ballpark idea of what their favorite charity is, or something for their pets, or something for their kids, that's gold. I mean, if you send Britt something for her Great Dane, you're in great shape. If you send Rick something about the farm or 2 cigars, that's a great gift. Don't send him a huge box of cigars, just send him 2 and tell him you'll smoke one with him when you get the chance. And so that's a great gift for Rick. He likes Swedish fish. And so that's a great gift for Rick. But if you send him something else, you weren't paying attention to him. He loves Nick Saban. He loves Bill Belichick. Those are sports things and things like that, experiences and so on. Get him something else. It's, hey, thanks, that was nice, but that was a swing and a miss. So spend some time being intentional about that. That's hard to do in a small shop. I've got an advantage with a great assistant that can help me with that, and she can source all that sort of stuff, but you still have to carve out time to sit down and go over that list. Hey, and she does that with me every Thursday. I get my birthday list for the coming week and make sure that I'm going to text them, I'm going to call them, they get a card, they get a gift, whatever that is. And then she makes it happen. The next thing I know, I've got 15 birthday cards on my desk addressed and ready to go. And I just fill them all out, off they go, and it happens automatically. And then I know also I've got that list to these people I'm going to call and check in on them and so on. But it's a system, it's a process that we execute really well. I do not waste time with FSBOs. They already know 5 other realtors. They don't respect any of them, or they wouldn't be a FSBO. And so there are people that are really good at that. I never have been, because I'm already resentful from the minute we start. I just think they don't respect our industry, and then they want a discount. And I thought that's not the client that I want. That's just not who I want to fiddle with. But there are other people that do really well in that space, and I admire. That's impressive, because that's no fun. I just fortunately caught a break, and my business went a different direction through by referral only, and then through the core. And that was just one of those aha moments. And I thought, I'm not doing open houses anymore. I'm taking my home number off my business cards. No more 24/7, no more phone duty. And I did really well on phone duty for a long time. But this is 1995. So 27 years ago is when I went by referral only and got involved in that program. And that's where I met Rick. And then Rick opened up the core, and I've been in since day one. Went to the very first summit 22 years ago. So it's been a game changer for me. And I'm just unbelievably grateful for the impact it's had on my life and my family's life. I just can't say enough good things about it. It's been great. So what else can we do? Throw some more questions at me? Anybody? The difference between a VIP and a whale. So everybody's language is a little bit. I would love to crystallize that. A whale, you could say, is 5 deals or more a year. A VIP is 2 or 3 deals or more. I don't know. There's much other thing. You can cut that line wherever you want. I'm going to get a ruling from Kendra and Rick on the exact definition of that. And so, because somebody sends you 5 deals one year, they may blank the next year for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden they're back. And that does happen. Life gets in the way. They're just not in a situation where they can refer. And then the next thing you know, they're sending you a ton of business. So don't worry too much about that. Just go get them. And if you can stack up a bunch of two deal a year people, you'll do very well. And then every once in a while you hit a vein and you get 5 deals out of somebody or 10 deals out of somebody. That's spectacular. That's hard to replicate. It can be done, but that's kind of a unicorn sort of thing. So I keep working on your VIPs, and if you can make a whale out of them, because all of a sudden they finally clicked to them that you're more than just an overpaid Uber driver. You actually bring value to the relationship. You're useful. You're off to the races, and you'll do really well in that space. How to raise your profit or your price point. So that comes from tenure in the industry, hanging out with older people that make more money, better referral partners, holding the line on your commissions, whatever it is you charge in your marketplace. We also charge transaction fees, and a lot of coaches do, a lot of students do. And I make an extra $5.99 on every listing, and I get it probably 95% of the time. Every once in a while, somebody will scream, and we'll waive it, but not very often. So I'm making $600 times an extra 200 transactions a year. It's $120,000. That pays a couple of salaries for me. And so I'm not as profitable as Ben Wilson is. He gets way more production out of his buyer agents than I do, but it sure helps my bottom line when I bring in $100,000 a year, $125,000 a year just in transaction fees. So that's another way to generate more revenue and become a little bit more profitable. That adds a couple of points to your P&L. And it takes every bit of that to squeeze out a really good profit and really good P&L this coming year. So a combination of those things: hang in there in the business, keep paying your dues, hang out with wealthier people, move to a nicer neighborhood. I remember when Rick coached Kendra to move to a different neighborhood and a higher price point, And she did, and just that she's got enough gravitational pull, and that other people just, her price point jumped up considerably. Mine has, by living in the neighborhood that I live in, has gone up dramatically in the 20 plus years I've lived out here. And so that, plus just being 40 years in the business and my age, we get to trade a little bit higher price point than the field for the most part. What do you send out to the farm area? And this is where people really mess up. And you need to send them something that they care about. They don't care about whether or not you went on vacation this summer, or how adorable your kitten is, or anything, or how you sold a condo, and that's not a condo neighborhood. They want to know about what it's like to live in Happy Valley. What's going on in the Happy Valley news. These are the last 5 sales. These are the last 3 houses that are on the market. There's going to be a garage sale this week. Something about that neighborhood and how great it is to live in that neighborhood. Maybe a coupon from a local vendor, restaurant, pizza, something like that, and say, hey, I'm going to mail to 1,000 rooftops in your zip code. Can you give me a discount? And they'll go, yeah, redeem this coupon and we'll give you buy one, get one free, or extra dessert, or half a pizza, or something like that. And so you can leverage the relationships in the surrounding area and have a little value add. But basically, they want to know that you are the resident expert. And if you're going to farm an area, you got to go see all the listings, even if you didn't get it, and leave your card there unless your MLS says you can't. And I used to get, I don't do it as much anymore, but I would get 3 or 4 deals a year just by 8 people calling me up saying, hey, you showed my house twice. My last agent never showed it, which I don't show my own listings very often, but they thought we did. And their expectation was, and that other agent didn't ascertain their expectation. So I get a call and say, well, I know you work this neighborhood. I had to go with my cousin the first go around, but now we're going to go with you. And so by being an expert in the neighborhood, knowledgeable, visible, getting involved in the board of directors, volunteer boards are brutal, but that's another way to pay your dues and get connected with everybody. Go to the mixers, be visible, and being intentional about it. I mean, you really got to pour into it. You can't just drop a postcard and then expect the phone to start ringing. And that's not how it works. You got to mail them for months and years, and it's got to be good. It's got to be a great first impression. It's got to make you look like a pro and like the go-to expert. And if you can say, I've seen every one of these houses. I mean, that's your best PS. Oh, by the way, I've seen every one of these houses. I know exactly whether that had avocado green or harvest gold, or that one had a pool, or that one had an orientation to the setting sun. I've been in that house. And do your open houses in that neighborhood, and really pour into it. But that's a whole nother process. But you gotta be determined and committed to doing it for the long haul. That's probably a 3 to 5 year commitment before it really starts turning into something good. And so most people bite off more than they can chew. They'll do every door direct and they'll send out 10,000. There's no value in that. That's just too much. So 1,500 is probably 1,500 is probably too much. Somewhere between 250 and 500 is probably a really good number, especially if it's a neighborhood that you live in, or that you want to live in, and where you put some people in there so you're credible in that neighborhood. That's a big deal in my mind. And something close to your office, you got some visibility and exposure. Let's see, brand new agents, man, you got to get with either a team or a really good coach. You need to work really hard on your VIPs, because that is going to be the fastest way to build your business. It's going to take years to get your database to pay off. You got to do them both. You can't just do one or the other. But if you can spend the evenings on your database, adding names, going through your phone, adding 10 names a day for 20 days, that's 200. Do it again the next month. Now you got a 400-person database. And you look them up on the tax rolls and you find out their address. The people that are in apartments, they're the ones that are harder to track down. But you want to go to your kids' friends' parents, your parents' friends, anybody else anybody that you would invite to your wedding, and so on. Anybody that has a vague notion of who you are, and those names are already in your phone, and you just got to go through and say, oh yeah, I remember him. Oh yeah, I remember her. She's amazing, and so on, and start adding those names and being intentional about it. If you do 20 names a day, That's a 400-person database at the end of a month from a flat-footed start. So you've got to do that. And then within that population, you've got to identify those VIPs, the rock stars that you can go get in front of, that you've got access to. They'll take your call, they'll visit with you. They don't see you as a threat. They don't see your prosperity or your success as a threat, because there are people who will, they're passive aggressive and they really don't want to see you do that well, because that puts them in a bad light. But the ones that really genuinely care about you, you're willing to help them, they're willing to help you. That's the relationship you're looking for. Mutual respect. You provide a great service. You're going to protect their client. They're never going to get hurt with you. They're never going to get burned by somebody else. And that's what I tell them all the time. I'm never going to hurt you, and I'm never going to let you get hurt. That's my value proposition. I can see over the hill a little bit. I know what's going on. I'm going to protect you. One of Rick's best things was, and it's a great question to ask, hey, do you know anybody's had a bad real estate experience? And of course, everybody says, oh yeah, oh my God, well, tell me about it. And then they'll expand on why it was so bad. Didn't close on time. The mortgage wasn't right. The builder didn't finish, whatever it was. So, oh my God, that'll never happen with me. Here's what we do. Here's how we're different. Here's how I'm better. I'm going to make sure those things don't happen. This is how we communicate. And so most of the time you'll hear, I never heard from them. Stuck aside of the ground, disappeared, never saw them again, didn't even show up at closing, that sort of thing. And so you say, man, that's horrible. We would never do that. This is how we built our business. And then you go back to the triangle for trust, if that's appropriate, and so on. And so, but again, it's just sitting there every single day. You got to be determined to make that happen. Let's see. Should a farm? We talked about the farm. Okay, so somebody sent you a referral, good for you, but it wasn't a great experience. I'd go hit it head on and say, can we talk about, I want to make sure that you know there's two sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and there's the truth. And so I want to sit down and see if you got any feedback. It may not have been as bad as you think. I would talk to the principal first and say, hey, I want to make sure that we made this right and we squared it away. I promised so-and-so that I would never let anything bad happen to you. So if it did, I want to make it right. I can't stand the thought of that. I want to jeopardize that relationship. I want to take care of you and square it away if there's any way I can, and make sure you get them at least to neutral, if not back to positive. And then I'd go to the referral partner and say, man, you know what? We could have done a better job here. This is what I learned from this experience. I'm really sorry. And I had one of those a while back. I'm trying to think what the circumstance where we, I think we forgot to pay a referral fee and just slipped my mind. I thought it was on the file. Didn't happen. She said, oh, by the way, that deal ever closed? Oh, geez, that's embarrassing. Yeah, I did. It closed about a month ago. I owe you a couple of grand. I'm horribly sorry. That's terrible. And so we'll fix it. That'll never happen again. So I made sure the next one she sent me, it's all over that file. And she's going to get her referral fee out of closing from those proceeds automatically wired to her. She's not going to have to ask me. I've kept her informed on the progress of the transaction. Things like that happen. You're going to chainsaw deals. You're going to screw up. You're not going to be a good fit for somebody. You don't see eye to eye. You just didn't connect with them. It's going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't jeopardize the relationship with the referral partner. If it does, forgive yourself, move on. Don't wallow in it. It's going to happen. None of us are perfect. We do really hard. We're mostly pleasers. We want to take care of people, but there's some times where we just outkick our coverage and can't fix it. And once you get behind, it's really hard to get caught back up. If you get behind the curve and get a bad start with a client, it's really difficult to make up that ground, especially as the market gets tougher. And expectation. Everybody else has come back. They've got that memory of, well, my friend sold his house with multiple offers, 105% of ask in the first weekend. It's been 30 days. We don't have an offer. You must be an idiot. Well, no, I'm not an idiot. It's just a different market right now. I didn't get stupid. It's just, but what I didn't do is I didn't manage your expectations correctly. I didn't explain to you what the absorption rate is, what the difference between 3.5% and 6.5% is with somebody's mortgage payment. Shame on me. I didn't ask you what your expectations were based on prior experiences. Had I done that and you tell me, well, my last agent had an open house every weekend, well, then I'm not your guy. Or my last agent showed me 100 houses before we bought something. I'm not your guy. I'm not checking your kids in at school. I'm not taking them to get vaccinated. I'm not your guy. I'll do these things for you, but I'm not going to do that. And if that's what you're looking for, then we might as well call it a day right now, because you're never going to be happy. or my last agent gave me a deep discount or something like that. You know what? I'm not doing it because I'll just get mad and resent it. And that's my ego, but that's still the way I am. But we're not doing this. But you got to ask those questions and make sure you don't just walk into a trap on somebody that just wears you out or wears your team out because they didn't listen or you didn't figure out what their expectations were. What else we got? If you're in a new state, to move something to the database, I click done, deleted. There are people that we will never follow up with. We did the transaction. We were professional about it, but not the least bit interested in cultivating a relationship with them or anybody that thinks they're special. So that's the advantage of having a good database and having a decent business. I don't have to put up with that stuff. I would not wish that on anybody. It'll suck the life out of you. So if they're not a good fit, if they're not nice people, if they don't operate with integrity, if they jerk you around and don't respect you, cut them loose. You might have to suck it up just to get paid, but as soon as it's over, and they're not getting invited to anything. I'll keep the file like I'm supposed to for 7 years in case somebody gets sued. But other than that, we're done. So, and I never look back. Now, I might think of what did I do wrong or what did I miss? But other than that, I'm not losing sleep over any of that. If you're new to a market, that's a tough one. Aligning with a really good team is great. People that have an abundance of leads. I would work really hard on LinkedIn and use that and network with people that either went to your university, that have some tie back to your community. And I would start, you may have to start cold calling, but you probably know somebody there, or there's somebody can introduce you to somebody. And if you can start with 2 or 3 warm introductions and work off of that and grow that to 5 and then grow that to 10 and make a game out of it, you can get going pretty quickly in a market. That's what I would do. If I left San Antonio and had to start fresh in Houston or Dallas or Nashville or one of those other cities, that's what I would do. I'd try to find any Aggie I could find in Nashville. And there might be a few road runners in Nashville from UTSA. And then I would identify what got me to, something got me to Nashville. So somebody knows somebody. I didn't just throw a dart at the map, and I would work off of that list, and then I would build it as quickly as I could and have some fun with it, make a game of it, and go get them. So, guys, I think we are up against it. We are right on the nose, 3:01. So thank you all very much. Have a very Merry Christmas. Have a happy Hanukkah. Take care of your concierge. Take care of your coach. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. The summit is going to be in San Antonio in May. So our level 3 students should all be here. Level 2 and level 1, if you're interested, please let us know so we can get you signed up, because it's going to sell out. It's going to be more necessary than ever to be in the room. We'll have the mega again in Dallas in August. And we're available to you through concierge or anything else. So hit us up anytime. I'm pretty easy to find. If I could ever do anything for you in San Antonio, please don't hesitate to call me. And have a great holiday. Have a safe and prosperous 2023. And let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Thank you all very much.